movement was more innovation than any other time in the history of the world. We call it, or refer to it as, the Renaissance. What was unique and different there is they had all kinds of people from all kinds of places. That whole question of diversity in one central place. Now, of course, it was Florence, and they did, it was Italy, so there's a certain amount of red wine in there, I'm sure. But there's that concept of taking things which do not fit together or seem to fit together and strike them together. And when they strike together, things are either innovated or, I like to put it, bastardized. Okay? Bottom line is, new things come out. David, I'm sure, wouldn't have anticipated some of these things. But bottom line is, if we are going to move as a pharmaceutical industry, as a biotech industry, into places which we do not know and that we cannot anticipate, then the models, then the way we communicate it, are not going to be adequate, and it's not going to achieve what we think it will. It's an interesting chart. I wish I actually knew what it meant. But here's an interesting take, all right? So you got a chart, bottom, goes to the top, right? It's kind of like really cool because at the bottom it talks about satisfaction. And if we talk about communication, it's kind of like, that's what he's going to say. It's kind of there. I'm satisfied with that. That's nice. The next thing that we try to do is we try to simplify things, right? And this is kind of like the point that we're trying to make here. But when you get real engagement, right, that kind of look that some of you got now, it's kind of like, okay, I'm waiting. What's coming next? Because I have no idea. And it's there, within the suspense, within the concept of engagement, where people start to listen differently, start to interact differently. I think one of the points that David is trying to make here is that if we're looking at healthcare, if we're looking at talking to our customers, not only do we have to listen and understand their behaviors, we are going to have to engage them in a different way as well. So next question. This is a lovely question, actually. I looked at that and I went, oh, that is lovely. Do you or your companies or your sales representatives develop customer summaries? Oh, interesting. 61% of you say no. That would make 39% of you say yes, which is interesting. Now, one of the things, as we move forward, again, from a primary care model to a specialty model, one of the things that we have the ability to do is to be able to start looking at every physician within our audience as part of one single territory. Again, we're all representatives. I saw you put your hands up earlier. Territory, within your territory, usually somewhere around 200, 250 physicians. That was your audience. And if we look at many specialty markets, they range somewhere as low in terms of influencers, both nurses involved as well as physicians, under 100. Now think about it. As one territory, 100, it's possible to conceive every single specific relationship. So the concept of starting at the top with your forecast, flips is gone, start at the bottom. And it starts with the individual and being able to talk to the individual, understand the individual drivers of that particular person as well, which gives a whole new and different perspective. Now, one of the things that's also happened, of course, as we know, is that the world has gotten smaller. Research happens across the world. People travel, get on the internet, and what's happening in different places is crossing over as well. So, again, this slide really demonstrates that people are connected the way that they want to be connected. So is Dean Michelin here yet? We were looking last night on LinkedIn. Oh, Mitch loved LinkedIn as well, right? And his LinkedIn is kind of cool because it talks about the number of people you have links to. And so when we start thinking about healthcare, we start thinking about research, when we start thinking about communicating, we're starting to talk about links. Traditionally we talked about cascade. There's a guy at top, goes down this, exactly straight down. Now it's like, and it's all over the place. And if we're unable to conceive of that, number one, as individuals, as markers, as leaders, then how will we be able to communicate and to understand and listen to our customers who are interacting and dealing in that particular kind of way? So right now we're dealing with people who are working in networks. And given that our customers in networks, given that healthcare is in networks, we have to adapt ourselves to that as well. So the how is going to become different. So again, it comes back to innovation. It's kind of like, well, I don't know how to do that. Good. And continuing to do what we do in the way that we do it, marginally increasing, is not going to get us there. We're going to have to work with different kinds of disciplines that are totally unrelated to healthcare in order to be able to improve and engage physicians. Now this chart is great because I know exactly the point that David wanted to make on this one. That was kind of like humorous, but apparently not. All right. So again, this kind of like, remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs? This is kind of like Maslow's kind of broken out into a square. So it's kind of like the square of needs. Bottom line is that if we run to the top, we're working in an area of, it's kind of right over here, blue top, creativity. And when we're dealing with Canada, we're dealing with healthcare in Canada, we're dealing with people who've got, again, all the information that they want. Right? Any information that you want in any clinical trial is there for you to get. Disease state, there for you to get. So all the information is available. It's a question of how do we make it simple, and then how do we engage people in a different way? That may be what that slide was about there. So it's a question of we need to remember that the people that we're dealing with, whether they're physicians or nurse practitioners, each have different kinds of motivations, each have very different kinds of way of looking at things, and are communicating wide. And we have to work in that milieu in order to be able to, again, deal with them in a creative way. So we stage our experiences. You'll notice undifferentiated at the bottom to differentiate at the top. And what happens is when we differentiate and create something unique and different for each individual customer, we will create that relationship, which is so critical, as Ron pointed out, and continue to be able to create unique interactions that engage our customers. So in conclusion, 3 things. Number 1, we need to create using innovation and design. Number 2, we need to be connected through networks as opposed to that concept of cascade. And number 3, we have to remember that Maslow reminds us that our needs will be fulfilled, and that's where we are, and that is a place where we will inspire communication. Thank you very much.